Everybody good? Oh, this got fired.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so crazy win last time out, right? I guess, I mean, what kind of lessons can you take out of a fight like that?
I think that it showed that I have holes in my game that I needed to fix. And I definitely think the change up in camps and I think moving to Florida has really done that. So I'm super excited about this fight because I get to show the improvements that I've made. I was lucky enough to learn these lessons without taking an official loss. You know, I dominated the first 2 rounds. He dominated the 3rd round. It's the first time I've ever lost a round in my career, other than my 30-second knockout. But so I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from it. I think I've learned those lessons. I think I've made the changes I need to make without suffering a loss. That's
the benefit of it, right? Is it a little disheartening? I don't know, because like you said, you were looking really, really good early on, and then you have to walk away with this. It's not a loss, but it's a little blemish on the record, right? I guess, how do you deal with that?
It's hard, man. I am my biggest critic, and I know every single fighter known to man says that, but I really am. I've never had a performance that I've walked away from and said, okay, I'm good with that one. You know, I'm always critiquing myself and I'm always trying to get better. Whether it's actually in the fight, if it's before the fight, if it's during camp, there's always something that I'm trying to take away and get better at. And I think that's what world champions do, you know. They're happy with their wins and they enjoy their wins because that's the only thing that matters. But we always have to improve. We always have to get better because somebody else is getting better.
Was that the motivation, I guess, behind a change in camp? Is that line of thinking?
Yes and no. I knew I needed to make a change, not so much because of the training aspect, but just because of my mental state. Like, I'd been at Glory with James for 8 years. I moved there when I was 20, you know, and I've lived there. I've seen the same people, the same training partners, the same building, the same weather. And you do that for long enough, it's just going to kind of burn you out. And I think that I was kind of ignoring it for a long time. You know, I would go through waves of not really wanting to do this, like, not this, but like go to training and then go back. I would go through waves like that, and it kind of went away and then came back and then went away. And so I thought it was kind of just normal. But then when I had that bad performance against Ricky in the 3rd round, I think it kind of showed that I needed to make changes. I'm known as the cardio guy. Like, I'm the guy that pushes a really hard pace. If you watch any of my other fights, I'm the guy that's always pushing the pace super hard. I've always had a really good 3rd round. And in this fight, that was the round that I took off. I got tired in, and I didn't quit in a way, but like I accepted a bad position to try to stall out, and that's not what I do. So I knew I needed to make the changes. I believe I've made the right changes. I've been with ATT for 2 months now, and I got to tell you that it is one of the best gyms in the world, and there's a reason why they have 22 world champions throughout the organization. So I'm going to be one of them.
That's awesome. I guess, what does it feel like, right? Because, you know, going to a camp like that, right? Like I don't want to say you're just a guy, but you kind of are, especially when you're the new guy, right? I mean, is it a difficult thing to go in there and be like, I'm the new guy? Kind of feel like you almost have to prove your worth to be there, or do you feel like, no, I don't have to prove my worth? I absolutely belong to be here.
Yeah, I definitely was going into it thinking there are so many high-level guys here. There's so many people that are just so good and in every single weight class. Like, I'm going to have to really grind and work my way to get noticed by these coaches. And honestly, I was completely wrong. I went in, I was there for a week, and Coach Alves and Mike Brown took me under their wing, pad sessions twice a week, wrestling sessions twice a week. You know, they really welcomed me in, made me feel at home. And they're doing it for my fiance too, who trains with us, and one of my best friends, Cameron Cash, who also moved up with us and trained with us. So they're taking really, really good care of all of us, and I don't think they realize how much that means to me, because I've heard the stories, I've heard the naysayers and people talking about how if you go to this gym, you're not going to get any work because you're just a body. At least for me, it was completely false. I showed up. All the coaches want to work with me. All the coaches, you know, looked up my guy. All the coaches came up with game plans for me, and it was very, very well run and very, very welcoming, for me at least.
That's awesome. So in hearing you speak, it feels like you're kind of re-energized, which is crazy because you're still a young guy, right? You know what I mean? It's not like you're an old burned out guy, but does it feel like, I don't know, you're re-energized, this some like new phase of your career?
Yeah, I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. Now, I haven't been training at the level that I'm training at now, but I have known I wanted to be a world champion since I was 15. I've been working towards that goal for so many years, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I train every day with the guys that I grew up watching fight. You know, one of my favorite fighters growing up was Thiago Alves, and so I get to do pads with Thiago Alves, one of my favorite fighters when I was a kid, twice a week. You know, and my last pad session with him, I kind of had to like stop in the middle and just kind of be grateful for what I have. You know, it's truly an amazing sport, and I think it's unique to our sport at the high level. It's like, you know, in baseball and football, you get traded and stuff like that, and you really don't have a whole lot of control of where you go. I can go wherever I want to go. I can train wherever I want to train, you know. I just got to run it by the missus first. So that's really cool about our sport. I'm training with some of the best guys in the world, if not the best guys in the world, and I cannot wait to show how much better I've gotten.
Is it kind of cool to be on a card with Andrei Arlovski then?
Yeah, I like Andre. He's scary. He kind of scares me a little bit. But yeah, I got him and my buddy Jocko. We're all on the card. So ATT Army is about to take over this card.
I love it. All right, talk about the matchup itself, Jared. What does he present? What do you think about the matchup?
He's very good. He's very good, and I think he's the most well-rounded fighter that I've fought. He's got very good cardio. He's got very good striking, very good wrestling, and he gets up really, really well. He is an A-plus fighter. My only knock on him would probably be that he doesn't have a whole lot of finishes in the UFC. So if you're going to compare us next to each other, I would say that that's the notch I have on him. I have more finishes. I've gotten more people out of there than him. That could be strength of schedule. That could be I'm so much better than him. We don't know yet, but we're going to find out. I am definitely going into this fight knowing how tough of an opponent he is, knowing how much skill and talent he brings to the table. So not overlooking him at all. I know how tough he is. Nobody else matters except Jared.
Last thing for me, I guess the goal of this fight, I mean, obviously the goal is to win, but I don't know, is it like, do you feel like maybe you need to prove some doubters wrong who saw that last third round and maybe said, oh, he's not the guy we thought he was, or prove something to yourself? What's the goal here? Absolutely, man. Like I said before, I'm known as the cardio guy, and I had a really, really bad third round. And it's one of those things that I have to prove to myself that I can push. Because remember, I want to be a world champion. And if I want to be a world champion, that means that I'm going to have to be able to fight for 25 minutes against the best guys in the world. I had a bad round. I won the first two, lost the third. It is what it is. I've learned my lesson. I've moved on. I'm going to show that I can push a pace.
Congrats on the, building the move. A lot of guys are hesitant to do that and might not even want to disclose it because it's kind of, real personal. But if you could elaborate, how, satisfying was it when you were talking to the missus and said, you know what, this is where we belong. We should have even done it sooner coming to ATT.
Yeah, it was great. I don't know about sooner. I don't believe that everything happens for a reason, but I do believe you can make the best out of anything that happens. And what happened the way it happened and can't happen any other way. So I think we got there at the right time. I think we are at ATT when ATT is at its best. They've got the best amount of guys. I've not run into anybody who wants to hurt me in training. I've not run into anybody that wants to, walk over me or views me as competition. With how big the team is, you still have that feeling of this is a team. We're a team. I hope you win. You hope I win. Let's train together and get better. So I think we're there at the right time, and I think everything kind of fell into place the way it needed to.
Oh, that's perfect. Just trusting the process, part of the journey. And just for fun, what's your favorite Thiago Alves fight or knockout?
My favorite fight of Thiago Alves is probably when he fought Matt Hughes. He hit him with that switch flying knee. And I was actually telling Thiago Moises earlier today, when I was a kid, we watched that, or I watched that with some buddies, and he's like walking away from Matt after he knocked him out, and he just looked humongous, just massive. And he was actually my screensaver on my little Razr phone when I was a kid, because I was like, I want to be as big as him someday. I'm not, but I train with him, so that's cool too.
That's a great bar list. That was like Bedlam, so that pay-per-view wasn't even in the regular time. It was like you had to watch it real early, so that's a fan right there.
Yeah, for sure. He was one of the guys that I wanted to watch. I thought he was going to beat GSP when I was a kid. I thought he was the guy to do it. He didn't end up getting it done, but man, he put up a hell of a fight. So I'm super happy to be working with him, and it's really a dream come true. You know, it's like if football's your thing, playing catch with Patrick Mahomes or Brett Favre or whoever it is. So that's really cool for me.
That's good stuff, man. Thank you for that, and good luck on Saturday.
I appreciate it. Don't tell my opponent that, though.
The 4 losses on Gordon's record are all by KO/TKO. Is that something you look to potentially exploit?
Absolutely not. I'm going to go out there and take 1,500 shots and hope one of them sticks and hold him down or beat him up until he quits or I get a submission.
After your last victory, you mentioned one of your best traits as a fighter is how coherent you're in there. You are in there in terms of you hear everything, you hear your coaches, you remember everything. What do you attribute that quality to?
Probably just how long I've been doing this and how obsessed I am with the sport. I think every kid, everybody kind of talks to themselves like in the car, like if they were famous and what they're doing, like whether it's football's your dream or whatever your dream is. I've thought about this sport and I've imagined myself in this sport and I've worked hard in this sport every single day since I found out what it was. You know, when I saw Rampage Jackson and Rashad Evans fight for the first time, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I've been completely obsessed with the sport. And so it's kind of one of those things where I think it's just, it's natural to me. I grew up doing it. I grew up competing in it. So it's like breathing to me. It's normal for me. At least that's what I would attribute it to.
Thank you.
Good. I got a question for you guys. Who gets to decide who goes first and who gets to ask the questions first? No, I'm serious. Is there like an order? Is it like do you guys fight each other for it?
It's just me, bro.
You just decide? You say, I'm going first, and then you can go, then you can go?
Unspoken rule.
It's 15 years in the game. You got to get something, you know
There
what I
you
mean?
go.
So they're like, let the old man, he's been doing this so long, like, let him start it.
All right. I was hoping you guys say there's like a battle royale in the back, and y'all just fight each other, and then whoever wins gets to go first.
Maybe like a drinking contest would probably be more accurate. Like, I'm the last one standing, so you get the first one asking.
That makes sense. Thank you, guys.